Well, with the European group stages going pretty swimmingly, we're going to turn our attention back to domestic action with AFC Bournemouth. We've got off to a winning start in a three-game week at the start of the festive period, but now we come up against Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's Aston Villa and Chelsea, one of the big boys in the division. Yes, hello and welcome along to part 63 of the Head Coach with me, Daniel. Apologies in advance today as we're back for two Premier League matches, but the cold is very much setting in, so apologies in advance for any voice losses and etc. We're in 8th place. We're about where we've been every other year, to be honest. We've had a solid start, but again, not much on the goal difference, no hefty wins really. It's all been about being defensively solid, as well as competing with Europe and trying to rotate the squad well enough. Thankfully, we've got most of the job done there now, so we can focus on domestic action. So if you're looking forward to seeing how we get on against Ollie and against Chelsea, who are managed by Domenico Tedesco, then please do put a thumbs up on the video. As you can see, we've got a good record against Villa, and overall, they're a side that we've done well against on camera, but Ollie has not been in charge before. The finances are still getting worse, despite the fact that we've actually got European prize money coming in. So a few concerns off the pitch, but we're not going to worry about that. We're doing pretty well here, and arguably, this is the season we line ourselves up for another job. I should mention as well, as we go over to the schedule, that we might be having a bit of luck. You remember last year when we had that famous FA Cup run because of a very easy draw of home fixtures? Well, we've made hard work of it, but this year so far in the Carabao Cup, we've beaten Barnsley at home on penalties, we've beaten Bristol City at home on penalties, and now we've got Championship Watford in a quarter-final at home. So this could be a run to the semi-final without an away fixture and without top-tier opposition again. The FM gods are shining on us when it comes to cup draws with AFC Bournemouth. For now though, let's have a look at what's been happening since you were last here, because you joined me for the West Ham defeat and a big win against Feyenoord in the Europa. We actually followed it up with a run of 5 draws in a row, and the most disappointing one was probably the first one at home to Reading. They were bottom of the table at the time, they still are, and I see it as drop points. Matt Harrold in charge there. Sam Greenwood got an early goal against us, but Josh Doig equalised, and at half an hour I thought, right now we turn the screw, but it didn't happen. Leonardo, after a hat-trick in the midweek, had a shocker at the weekend. We didn't really look like winning it. We then played Bristol City in the Carabao Cup. This time Leonardo saved us off the bench, took us to penalties. Gedson Fernandez missed his, but again, Victor Nelson the hero with the last one, as Barreto made a couple of big saves, the first of which from Sam Amo Amiu. Reminder not to let him take penalties in our Southend save. We then got a very good 2-2 draw away at Manchester United. Facundo Fernandez the hero again, having a much better season this time. You can see he scored again later in the month. A 2-2 draw in Poland at Lech Poznan was the disappointment though, because we were 2-0 up in this one. Solanke and an own goal. With a backup team, I thought, right, 4 wins out of 4, we're basically through. Let's get the job done. We threw it away second half. We were forced into changes due to injuries. You can see Stacey and Witham off the bench, 2 youngsters coming in. So overall, a point's not a bad result against a Lech team which have 13 points, as we do and Everton do, joint top of the table. Moving on from that, we drew 0-0 at home to Spurs. Not a bad result in the grand scheme of things, but more important on that day was the return of Alex Scott off the bench, who made a late substitute appearance. I had to try and balance it out because those that had played against Lech were knackered. With 5 or 10 to go, we threw them on and we got a decent point. I'm not too upset about that. Away at Forest after the international break, we won by 4-0 in our best performance of the season, our biggest win in God knows how long. It was a great effort from Fernandez, from Leonardo, Max Aarons even got one, and Jose Manuel Lopez with his first goal for the club. And now he can't stop scoring, as you can see, because the following game at home to Tirana, he got 2 in a 3-0 win. We also got one from Ollie Byrne, the young right wing back. And then away at Brighton, a 93rd minute winner, and it was Jose Lopez off the bench again. Might get a start as a result of that performance. Alex Scott did start in that one. We're starting to get star players back and it's starting to look good. But this month is so congested that I'm incredibly worried. We've also got horrible fixtures coming up. Chelsea is the start of a run where we then place Manchester City, Arsenal, Everton. But I'm looking at it and saying, well, if we can get away with playing our backup team at home to Northern and Watford and getting through in those cup ties, then actually it's not a bad month. We're just playing just over once a week, which is fine. We've got a League One team away from home in the FA Cup third round, a potential TV banana skin as we go to Chesterfield, and then we've got 2 tough Europa games at the end of January, particularly away in Seville. But I'm looking at it and thinking we might not have to worry at this point because we've basically got the job done already. Even if we don't get any more points, we're going to be in the top 16. And if we beat Nordsjælland at home, we're probably guaranteed top 8. So overall, given the deadline day signings, given some of the injuries we've had, and given the congestion of fixtures, I'm thrilled with how we're getting on. Alex Scott, I did forget to register for Europe because of his long-term injury, but it's actually worked out pretty well. So let's go and get through to the fixtures. It is Villa at home, our only home game of this 3-game week in the Premier League. We're in 8th place, Villa are down in 12th, but they're one of those sides that will be looking to close the gap. And they've got a 4-2-3-1, a few originals still there, both holding midfielders, Pau Torres, Jacob Ramsey, and even Moussa Diaby all still at the club. They've also brought in the likes of Reece Nelson, Joe Gomez is at centre-half, and they've got a Brafer at right-back, youngster from Reading who's always well rated, and Lafont, a very well-known FM keeper. Lots of quality in there. So let's go and get through to the team selection. We did play on Sunday, so I'm not sure how fit these boys are going to be. I'm probably not going to start Alex Scott twice in a row, as well as he played in the last game. And I'm also going to have to be wary of a couple of others. You can see Doig, Mepham, the old boy, struggling a bit. So I'm going to make a couple of adjustments. We're going to go for Luis Georgi from the start. Maybe I start Doig, though, and go for Georgi in the away game, but he is better going forward. We're going to take out Mepham for Brassiat, simple sub in there. Might even go Victor Nelson, actually. We'll put Schmidt over to the left. We're also going to take out Alex Scott for Miley. We know he can do the job. And then up front, I am going to do it, I think. Leonardo out for Lopez. Let's get the informed man in the team. On the bench, Victor Siganov was out of the squad last time. He can come onto it for Mepham. We've still got a centre-half there if we need it. And I'm going to leave the rest as it is because we're fairly strong at the minute. We're competitive. We've got enough that we can turn the squad around a bit as well. So this is the 11 that I've gone for in full. Karnazeki, as always, the star man between the sticks. Can't believe he was a poor performer when we got here. Plenty of interest from other clubs in Europe and from the UAE, so we'll keep an eye on him. Nelson, Mendes and Wonderkid Schmidt, the back 3. Georgi, another Wonderkid with Aarons on the right of the wing-backs. We got Miley and Fernandez reunited in the middle. Aslan and Fernandez out wide. And then Jose Manuel Lopez, the gamble up front. Let's get him in the box. Let's get the ball into him and hope we can deliver the goods. A strong bench if we need it, with Scott and Leonardo, arguably our best 2 players at the club. So let's go and submit the team for the home game against Villa and hope this is going to be a good one. Fingers crossed it'll be 3 points on the board. But again, avoiding defeat, picking up points, is all I really need. No changes for Aston Villa by the looks of it. They're going to be a little bit fatigued then, although they did play Saturday rather than Sunday. Solskjaer is pretty new to the job, wasn't there last time we faced them. So let's tell the lads to go out and impress us. We've got a few motivated. I always still find it hard to balance these 3-game weeks. Do you go for, and what does the AI do? Because they mix it up occasionally as well. Do you go for the 5-6 changes in midweek? Do you go for 2 or 3 in each game? It's always a little bit tricky to work out, isn't it? As again, we are out of possession for the most part early doors. Aston Villa haven't made a huge amount of it, and now we're having the opening shots on target. So many of our games are 0-0 at half-time, and we rely on that extra fitness, that youth, that counter-attacking exuberance late in games. But the main thing for me here is hoping that Lopez can get on the end of a cross or 2. But I'm looking at Fernandez's fitness, and maybe I should have rested one of the wingers, though he has got a corner here, left-footed, headed away by Kamara at the front post, as far as Georgi. He's one of those who's come in, had an average half so far, as Gedson Fernandez finds Nelson, and now Mendes. He goes forward to Gedson again. Looking really solid in midfield now he's settled in. And here is Victor Nelson, who's also proven a decent signing. Aslan turns on the right, goes back in the end though. You can see they're defending deep in numbers. They're keeping us in front of them. And that's a good idea with the pace and the quality we've got in the attacking line. Now, Max Aarons has broken free down the right. Good pass from Fernandez into Juan Lopez. I've called him Juan again. He's Jose Lopez. But that is the man who is the man at the moment. No goal for 3 months. Loads of bitty injuries. Just couldn't get going. Very similar story to one of our strikers in the other save, actually. But now he's settled in. He's got himself fit. He's fully match fit and in good condition as well. And he's come in and he's scored 5 in 4 now. And he's given us the lead against Aston Villa. He could be a match winner. 2 Premier League games in a row. I'm going to take Fernandez off soon because he's knackered. He's on a yellow. I'm just going to bring Van der Lack on. We've got quality there anyway. I was thinking of starting him away at Chelsea just because he gives us that threat on the counter. But I didn't want Fernandez to get sent off. So we'll give it 5 more. And then we'll worry about a few other subs because Gedson's struggling. Miley's not in great condition. Aslan's really poor. And we've got to be careful of Lopez as well because he has had a lot of injuries. So we're going to bring Leonardo on up front. We're going to bring Victor Siganov on the right wing, I think, for Aslan. And I'm going to take Miley off for Alex Scott. We have got Aaron struggling as well. I'll give it 5 more, but it will probably be Ollie Byrne for him. And then if we have to give up Gedson at the weekend, we should be able to play Scott and Miley, which will be fine. So Aaron's off, Ollie Byrne on. 15 to go. Villa yet to have a shot on target, and they're down to 10 because they've made all their subs and then picked up an injury. So let's praise the lads. We've got 5 to go. We're doing really well here as we counter again. Leonardo nicks it and plays in Van der Lack. Beats his man down the left. It's a good run. Chance to cross. Good ball in. Leonardo shot blocked behind for a corner. Pau Torres with a last-ditch challenge there. Now it's a corner kick and we've got a chance to make it 2. But Alex Scott is in no rush. The time wasting is a couple of minutes away. Unless we can get the second. Victor Nelson loses out. It's find Alex Scott again. He cuts it back towards Byrne. He's just beaten to it, but it's clear to Georgi. And the fact they're down to 10 means that no one's forward. Is this a good ball in? Leonardo up, can't win it. And Byrne hacks it back in. We've played 89. And it's Villa on the attack. Have I waited too long to time waste? Morton goes right to Diaby. Chance to cut inside on his left foot. Does really well to beat 2. It's a great save, Karnazeki. When we need him, he delivers. We'll see out the corner. And then we'll make the changes for the 5 minutes of stoppage time. I've started doing work on a second tactic which incorporates the time wasting, but also incorporates the change to tactical setups for set pieces, brings an extra man back to the edge of the box, etc. Siganov does really well there, and we see it out nicely. We're going to do the usual here. We're going to go 5-4-1. We're going to get Gedson Fernandez as a centre mid on defend because he's got no puff left anyway. No point him being box to box. Van der Lack's not great on a midfield 4, but for 5 minutes, it'll be absolutely fine. Fullbacks or wingbacks on defence, sorry. We look very confident out of possession. We're going to counter-attack. We're not going to go too cautious. We're going to stop the overlaps. We're going to play for set pieces. We're going to time waste more, drop the tempo, be more disciplined as well. We're also going to slow the pace down and we're going to drop off more in defence. And I'm hoping that that's going to be enough to see out the 5 minutes of stoppage time. Would be another big 1-0 win. And it would be Lopez who's the hero again. And he's gone and done it. Jose Lopez with 2 1-0 winners in a row. And that boy is starting to show that he was worth his transfer fee. And one of the few that I've doubted Mike Phelan on. I may have to eat my words because at the moment, he's winning us points galore. We're up to 6th, above Chelsea on goal difference. But that may well change at the weekend. We face them in 3 days' time. And after this one, that's been a tough workout. Well, as we return for our second game, our opponents Chelsea are doing their clever media work because they've released or leaked a story about chasing Josh Doig this morning. Sure, that's not going to help us going into this one. There's also a media link with us to a player called Pablo Di Joffrey, who is at Lugano for 4 million quid. And let me just tell you now, I know he's a bit short for a centre-half, but geez, he's unbelievable. And in the middle of a back 3 with his personality, that would be a phenomenal signing. So yes, please, go and get that one done. Not sure why he's been linked with us. I've not seen him in any of the reports or anything that pop up in the home screen, so we'll wait and see what Mike Phelan does with that. We've got loads of TV money coming in, but today it's all about Chelsea away. Not got to worry about resting people because we've got the Europa game on Thursday where we can drop everyone. So let's just see who's fit out of our first 11. Of course, Stamford Bridge Stadium I know well from the other save. Ferret Aslan not quite making it by the look, so Van der Lack will come in on the right-hand side. We'll also bring Alex Scott back in, but this time for Lewis Miley. We're going to bring in Georgie will swap with Doig at left wing-back. In defence, I think we can go back to Chris Mepham. That means off the bench, we'll have to drop Aslan, who's not quite fit. Mepham will come in for Nelson, who struggled a little bit. And Schmidt will go back over to the right. He's been unbelievable and a great signing from the director of football. I'm really starting to like this Bournemouth team that's been built by Mike Phelan. Makes it hard when I know I'm going to have to leave soon when a bigger offer comes up. I'm going to make the bold decision to stick with Lopez as well. Leonardo can play on Thursday as needed. And that means our 11 in full sees how many changes? 1, 2, 3, 4 changes overall. Alex Scott arguably strengthens us, as does Josh Doig certainly. Mepham comes back in and he's my preferred first choice. And Van der Lack comes in for Aslan, probably the only one that really weakens us. If I look at the bench, there's no one else worth bringing into it. So let's just go and get through to our game away at Chelsea. If we avoid defeat in this one, might really start to believe we can improve on last year's position. Well, Chelsea have definitely taken the option of fitness over quality in this game. 7 changes overall. It's hard to tell if some of them are weakening or strengthening a team. You've got Lavia and Bidstrup in for Fernandes and Gallagher. Probably like for like. Mudryk out for Nkunku, very similar quality. So a lot of ability in the Chelsea team. Lots of turnover of players again. I know Lavia and James are still there in the 11 and Nkunku, but on the bench you've only got really Gallagher and Chilwell. The rest of it is new players, so definitely having a turnover. Still down struggling in 7th this season despite being better in this save. So let's see how we get on in the first half. A couple of changes made through fatigue and through improvements. It's going to be interesting to see how they adapt as it's an early corner for Chelsea. And Nkunku into the front post, headed away by Doig. I was just looking at a couple of Japanese lads to see if I recognised either of them, but I don't think they were players that we came across in Japan. Certainly not ones we had at our 3 clubs. So we're 10 minutes gone. We've managed to have the better of the stats apparently, despite not having much of the ball, but I wonder if that's the thing that's going to catch up with us later in the season, just having to chase the ball a lot. Maybe that's why we dipped a bit towards the end of last year. But if we can win a cup this year, whether it's a Carabao, a Europa League, whatever, we surely then have to be sought after for a big job. If we can win a trophy 2 years in a row with Bournemouth, and I'm going to have a real go at the Carabao Cup if we get through Watford. I know we're only doing it on penalties at the minute, but in the big games, I trust us to do well, as Lopez and Fernandes both struggling physically. But yet again, one of our games gets to half-time at 0-0. I mean, having a season ticket with us is easy. Travelling away to follow us is easy. Doesn't matter if you're late. Go and enjoy the first half while you're in the warmth of the pub or something. Then just turn up at half-time and you'll see all the action. As James goes back to Bardoloni. And Ito at centre-half for Chelsea. You can see we're trying to play a bit deeper here. Not sure what the referee's doing up there. Basically playing an offside line for Ferdy. Into the box, that's poor. Yeah, we've got caught all out of shape there. And it's in for 1-0 for Chelsea. Probably expected at the end of this week. I mean, at the start of it, if you're giving me 6 points, I'll be thrilled. And if we can find a way to nick a draw, I'll be beyond delighted. But I'm looking at this now and thinking changes may be necessary. There's a lot of experience on the bench that could maybe pop up for a moment. So let's not take any further risks. We're going to go Gedson Fernandes off for Miley. We'll switch Alex Scott. Mepham's actually having a poor game in defence and he's booked, so we'll switch Nelson and bring Schmidt into the left-hand side. The front 2, we've got Lopez going off for Leonardo, Siganov on for Fernandes with Van der Lack switching. And we'll save the last one, but it looks like it might be Max Aarons again, who he's just not hitting form consistently at the minute. We're going to encourage the lads, try and get a couple of chances. I mean, you look at the stats overall, a draw would be a fair result. But I am going to go for Ollie Byrne. Scott can play 90 here because he's not registered to play on Thursday. And that should mean that we'll be all right in terms of his fitness as long as he gets through this. We've got 5 to go, and if we don't score from this, we will go attacking. As Nelson finds Mendes at centre-half to Schmidt. Chance to play left for Josh Doig. Down the line for Van der Lack, gets to the byline, 2 in the middle, but goes back to Doig again. He finds Lewis Miley, what a signing he's been, into Alex Scott who loses out. And this is where we're in trouble from the counter. Villar switches it to Nkunku, forward to the centre forward who scored already. And now in the middle, they're comfortable in possession. Bardoloni on a yellow, but no pressure, but he gives it away to Josh Doig. Van der Lack's making a run. The one thing he's got is pace, delivers to the edge to Alex Scott. Just behind him, Gallagher gets there, and Villar brings it away. Good football from him. Towards the byline he goes, all the way to the edge of the box. And he goes for a shot from distance instead of just running it wide. We've gone attacking, we're chasing the game. We're 6 minutes added on. Probably Chelsea are benefiting from that. We are going to trail to a 1-0 defeat. And after 2 1-0 wins this week, you can only argue that's probably fair. We're never a side that's going to outscore the opposition in games like this. It's about keeping it tight, and if we don't keep a clean sheet, our chance of winning it is probably gone, even though I might have liked to nick a draw. 6 points out of 9 though, we stay in 8th place. Yes, Leicester and Newcastle are pushing up behind us, but we're in a really good battle at the moment. Beyond City, who are going to probably win it, no one's really out of sight at the moment. And we're in that mix between sort of 5th and 9th, which again, is exactly where we were the last 2 years. I just want to avoid finishing bottom of it this time. But let's go and get through to the schedule and have a look at when we're going to be back. We've got a few games in the cup that I would expect to win. We know we've got a horrible run of league games now. This is where it probably goes wrong a bit. But the fact that we can rest players now against Nordsjælland and Watford does give us a bit of a luxury. So City, I'm not expecting a win. Arsenal, probably the same. Everton will be tricky. They're one of the big boys here now. But then Sunderland, Leicester, Chesterfield, that's where it starts to get important. But I think we're going to leave it now, probably until the end of January. We might come back for the end of the window, or actually, let me rephrase that, because if we get through in the Carabao Cup, our semi-final, it's a bit of an interesting one. Because if we get Salford or Wolves, it's going to be probably a route to the final. But if we get a United or a Newcastle, I'll probably need to show you at least one leg from that. So my hope is that we get the winner of Salford Wolves and get through against Watford. And Newcastle and United, or if they get shocked, can face each other. And hopefully one of those go out. And then we go into the final against one of them. But I think we have to prioritise the cups now. The league, we're going to be finishing between 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. Let's focus on trying to win trophies. We'll be back either for deadline day in Liverpool or for a Carabao Cup semi-final if it's an enticing tie. But for now, if you did enjoy this one, a December that's turning into the story of 1-0s after a month that was the story of the draws, then please do put a thumbs up on it. Let me know where you think we'll be in the league, and do you agree with me? Should we prioritise trying to win, say, a Carabao Cup? For Bournemouth, they're the sort of things that will be incredible for us, as it was with the FA Cup last year. I feel we've got to take advantage of these draws, but if you want to stay up to date and find out if we do, subscribe and turn that notification bell on. We'll be back on Monday to resume this one, but in the meantime, we're back with Southend United tomorrow. Relegation 6-pointers galore in that save. And then we've got something special on Sunday as always. But in the meantime, you can find other playlists in the eye above the Southend save. Of course, the Twitch channel and football podcast, but also the guides, experiments, and last Sunday's nostalgia trip if you haven't seen it already. But for now, thank you very much for watching as always. Your support is massively appreciated. And I'll see you back here next time, hopefully for more big cup action and transfer window news from AFC Bournemouth and Mike Phelan.